Okay, welcome to today's live stream. In this live stream, I'm going to be doing something that should be fun. I'll be sculpting with some natural beeswax. And so last time we did some paraffin wax. This is, or not paraffin wax, excuse me. This is microcrystalline wax. So this is a byproduct of the petroleum process, and so it's kind of a synthetic wax, and it works great for sculpting by hand. It's kind of sticky, so it's not super great for using with tools. It'll stick to your tools, at least I found that to be the case. But if you're doing most of the sculpture just by hand, then it's a great option for like sketches similar to these ones. Some of these gesture sketches that I've done in the past. And you can see it's just basically just the texture of me placing the pieces of clay on the surface. But a really fun sculpting material. I really like them for these gesture poses. And it comes in, you can get it in this is Victoria Brown microcrystalline wax, the one that I'm using, but you can also get white, and so white kind of has this translucent look. I'd like to get some white and try some similar studies with it and just compare the two, just because it's fun. The issue with these, you got to be careful not to leave them like in a hot car or something, because they will melt if they get too hot. So just be aware of that. But a lot of clays are like that, where if it gets too hot, then you can end up ruining the sculpture. So today in this session, I want to take this image right here, and we're just going to be doing kind of a relief sculpture just on a piece of plywood. This is a scrap piece of plywood, and should be a fun sculpture. If you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know as we're going. I'll try to keep an eye out for those. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start off the same way I did yesterday by just heating up this piece of wood so that it gets warm, and that way I can melt some wax onto the surface, and it just gives me kind of a sticky surface to work from. Somebody's waving hello. Hello. Welcome to this live stream. Just starting off by, let's get some wax. And you can see how that just kind of melts onto the surface, and it gives me something to put the clay on that's a little bit more, or excuse me, the wax that's a little bit easier to attach things to and draw on and things like that. So there we have that. All right, now I'm just going to grab some. And this is, so this is natural beeswax. It was sent to me by a follower that reached out and said, hey, I have some beeswax if you wanted to try sculpting it. And so I said, yeah, I'd absolutely love to try. And this I really like. I don't know, I think it was somebody that had his own bees and separated the wax himself. Not positive on that, but I believe that's the case. And whatever he did, I really like this wax for sculpting. Because I liked it so much, I tried purchasing some beeswax that was like in pellets, and it just said natural beeswax, and I tried ordering some, and I did not like that as much. It didn't seem to be as sticky, and it didn't seem to stick to itself as well, that other beeswax. So maybe it was like a little bit too processed. Maybe they took out all of the stickiness from the honey or something, so that there wasn't that stickiness in the clay. But whatever is in this, I really like. I really like how it feels and how it sculpts for these studies. Let me just trying to make sure that we got a good. Let's see. Just want to make sure we can see everything that we're trying to see while I'm working. Okay. So I'm just going to start by laying in, almost like drawing in the figure. I don't have a ton of this wax, but these relief sculptures don't require a lot of clay. So I'm going to be doing this torso. See, we got the head up here. I'll just grab that in case I need to grab more. So with this, I really like these. I'm going to try to lay this along the center line of the torso. I like these relief sculptures because they do kind of combine, drawing and sculpting. It's a little bit different, obviously, but they're really fun. And so if you like drawing, or if you haven't tried a relief sculpture, you might try one. And you can use a knife to draw onto the surface. In fact, I can do that if I want to try to give myself an indication of what's going on before I lay down pieces of wax. I can just make some marks. So this is a great exercise just to kind of combine drawing and sculpting. And going to grab some more wax so that I can be warming it in my hand. As I'm working. And at room temperature, this wax is a little bit hard, but when it warms up just in my hand with my body heat, then it gets pretty soft and easy to work with. Maybe you can hear that stickiness. Trying to decide if I want to include the arms or not. I guess they're included right now, so we'll just stick with that. And I'm trying to kind of blur out my eyes and just focus on the outline. I'm looking at the negative space around the figure and just trying to get a rough indication of where things should be. Yes, sir, says somebody. Yeah, just sculpting. You know how I be. Sir, what is primary and secondary forms in the body? Please elaborate. Yeah, so the primary forms, I like to give the analogy of, like, if you were to take a figure that was somewhat realistic, like we could say one of these figure studies. If I was to take this and I was to take the heat gun and just melt away until the forms, basically all of this anatomy, was melted and smooth, then the forms underneath, the form of basically, we could say like cylinders and maybe an egg shape for the rib cage, these smooth forms underneath, those would be the primary forms. And so the way that I like to approach the primary forms is by abstracting them, so making the rib cage into an egg shape, or making the pelvis into a box shape. Because even though the organic, realistic primary forms would be more, they would be more organic, but for whatever reason, we like to create things that are more geometric. And so by simplifying the primary forms that are underneath into things like cylinders or boxes, or like for the rib cage for an egg shape, or a simplified wedge for the head, when we do that, we're actually able to then lay on the secondary forms, which would be things like the anatomy, so like the muscles on top. Those would go on top of those primary forms, and the structure underneath is sound. That's the main thing that I'm trying to communicate when I'm talking about the primary forms. We want that structure that we're building on top of to be accurate and to create a scaffolding for the things like the muscles. And then the tertiary forms are the surface details. So primary forms, very simplified version, thinking about like boxes, cylinders, things like that. And then secondary forms, details, anatomy, those would be things like the facial features. And then tertiary forms is the surface detail. So yeah, it's a very helpful way of approaching the figure and thinking about the figure and trying to lay things in. And even with this abstract, or even with this fairly flat right now study, I'm trying to think about the primary form of the rib cage. How would that come forward in space? And then I want to move back in space and consider that roll-off. Consider how the light is bouncing off of those forms, starting with the primary forms underneath, and then the anatomy on top of those primary forms. So hopefully that makes sense. It's an important concept, and so it's one that I talk about a lot. Because a large part of being able to create well-made, representative, figurative art is being able to simplify, especially on the early stages, being able to accurately simplify. And then once we can accurately simplify something, then we can build on top of those simplifications to the point where it can be very complex, it can be very realistic. But without those simplifications, it's almost impossible to create a realistic-looking figure because it's so complex. If we just start with the finished surface, only focusing on the finished surface, then it's very difficult to sculpt that accurately. Somebody's asking, sir, how can I understand the folds of clothes? There is a lesson that goes over that in the... I can't remember if it's in the free version of the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course or if it's a premium lesson. I believe that there's a free version and then a premium lesson. So what you can do is, if you haven't already gone and downloaded the free PDF, that's the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals checklist, it has links to all of the lessons for that course, and there's a link on drapery. So if you just download that PDF, it's free, and that has links to all of the free lessons from the Figure Sculpting Fundamentals course, and there's a link in the description for that. And so that's what I would use. In that lesson, I talk about the fold. The eye of the fold is what you're looking for, and then the forms kind of fall off from that eye of the fold. The eye is like the area where the fabric pinches, and then kind of the folds move off from that area. And so there are these forms that you can look for that make representing fabric a little bit easier once you're aware of them. Hi Andrew, do you know the sculptor Ferret Ferrant? I'm not sure how his name is pronounced, but yes, I'm familiar with the sculptor. Great sculptor. I think I've mentioned his some of his sculptures in some of my sculpting videos because I like his work so much, and his very impressive. His stone stuff I really like. He really understands the forms. So somebody that really understands the like primary, secondary forms. And his clay stuff is really fun because it's more sketchy. It's like more textured. I think I'm thinking of the right person. But then his stone stuff is very smooth, very realistic, and just a really talented sculptor. What type of sculpting is this? Is it called relief sculpture? Yes, this is a relief study. So there's low relief, which is really thin. This one's probably more of a mid relief, and then high relief is like basically you're building 3D out of the surface. So it's like a normal sculpture, but it's just like placed on the surface, so you're not sculpting the back part. It's just like coming forward in space. So this would probably be a mid relief, but it could turn into a high relief if I kept building it out. because we're kind of down low looking up at the figure, I think I want to kind of exaggerate that by wrapping the chest muscles around the rib cage. So there's a roundness of the rib cage. And then the chest muscles are wrapping around there. So I'm going to kind of exaggerate that a little bit more than what I'm seeing. By doing that, I'm also going to bring up this outline of the rib cage. No, Rachel, don't come in. Don't open the door, Rachel. Close it. Close it. Close it, Rachel. Kids want to come in, join the party.
Daddy, in.
Rachel, that's why I didn't want you to open the door. Hey, James.
Daddy.
You look young. What's your secret? Oh, well, thank you. Guess just try to take care of yourself. Exercise. Eat right. I don't eat right all the time, but I try to exercise. But this isn't me I'm sculpting. I guess you guys know. Bro, I forgot to message you on Instagram. Is that what I think it is, a bas relief? Yes, this is a bas relief or low relief sculpture.
Dad?
What?
I need new batteries for this. Dad.
Okay, come on out. I'm filming right now, so you guys gotta come out. Help James come out.
This needs new batteries.
Can you let him play with it so that he can come out?
Don't you want this? He doesn't want it. Mama.
Yeah, he wants to be in here.
Mama, want this? Mama.
James, don't make those sounds.
Mama.
Somebody's saying I have a business idea. Yeah, reach out on my Instagram page. That's the easiest way to contact me. What if I made bas relief for a cemetery engraved in those plates? Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, cemeteries. That's something that often people are willing to spend a little bit more on to create something, a nice memory of somebody. So that's a great thing to try to do. Are you satisfied with your expertise in sculpting and drawing? And is there a goal or a level of skill that you'd still wish to reach? You'd wish to still reach. Man, maybe I could learn how to read, and that would be helpful. Let's see. Am I happy with where I'm at? No, I think part of being an artist is not being satisfied with where you are. Certainly part of being a good artist, a great artist, is always trying to be a little bit better. And I don't think I'm a great artist, so I hope I'm on that, on that journey, on that road. But yeah, I would like to. So I feel like even though I'm not, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm still trying to learn with every new piece. I feel like I have the necessary skills to create a really well done work of art, and so now I would like to move into that and do some worthwhile, like beautiful, impressive works of art that are meaningful too. So that's kind of I think the next stage. But part of that is, I want to make sure that I'm maintaining that skill. Let's see. I feel like on this side, but it's like muscles, it's like exercising. If you don't exercise, then you get weaker. So I could lose the skill that I have if I just let it atrophy. That's actually a smart, cheeky setup, a mirror. Yeah, it works, It works except for when I turn away, and people said that they prefer seeing me talk as I'm talking, instead of just being a disembodied voice in the background. As an artist, what's your income streams, and do you have another job? Especially you have a family. So, so my primary and main income stream is the sculpting courses. So I built a sculpting course that took a while to develop, and the sales from that make up the majority of my income. I also do sell some sculptures online, and I have like some ebooks. Those things I mention, in the streams. My ebooks, my sculpting courses. Those are the way that I make up a majority of my income. But the sculpting courses make usually around like around 2,500 a month is what the sculpting courses bring in. But that's general. Typically there's months that do better. During the Christmas sale and Black Friday sale, the sales are usually a little bit up, and then during January or summer months, sometimes sales go down. So it's kind of it's not super consistent in that sales are different, but that's kind of what it's averaged out to, is about 2,500 a month, just from the sculpting courses. And for a family, I mean, that's not a lot of money, So I could definitely make more money doing another job, and I wouldn't be against. Like I usually recommend, if you're an artist starting out, like just find a job that's something that you don't hate too much, but that pays the bills, and then do your art on the side, because I think that's a good way to go about it. And I've done, I've worked as a waiter in a restaurant. I did not like that. I've worked for a flooring company that then let me go. It seems like a lot of the businesses that I've worked for were small businesses, and they weren't super successful. So the restaurant that I was working for, the branch of the restaurant eventually shut down a couple months after I left. I think it was just a couple months. Or maybe it lasted a little bit longer than that. But the franchise owners, they had a hard time committing to the restaurant. And then the flooring business was also, it was purchased by another business, and as soon as I came, it started struggling, and then they couldn't afford to keep paying me, and they actually never paid me my last paycheck, so still kind of have a bitter taste in my mouth from that experience. So I've done other jobs, and I've worked as just temp agencies, just part-time, where they just, people just need laborers. And some of my favorite jobs have been doing temp, construction. I really liked one where I was just cleaning up after the construction crews, and I was just sweeping and making sure that the site was clean. And then I could listen to audiobooks or podcasts and just sweep all day. Sweep into the garbage, then go take the garbage out, and then keep going. And there was plenty to do. So that was kind of fun, and it's one where it's a job where it's simple and straightforward. So I'd say don't be against trying to just earn a living, especially if you have a family. I'm fortunate in that we live in a country where there's very generous social programs where, if you're not making enough to feed your family, there's programs that help with that. Now, those programs come at a cost, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting on government assistance because they create perverse incentives. And so they they give you money for food, but then you can't save too much, and if your income grows too much, then you lose the benefits, and so it's kind of a perverse incentive system. So I'd say if you can avoid that, I would recommend avoiding that. But you're not gonna starve to death, or your kids aren't gonna starve to death, as long as you're doing something in the United States of America. Now, not everybody lives in the U.S., so if you don't, then you have to figure out, what can you do to provide value. That's no matter where you live. But some of the sacrifices that I've made is we moved. I lived in Utah, and we moved because it was too expensive. I couldn't afford living in Utah. It was just we wanted to buy our first house, and we could not afford it, so we moved across the country, 18-hour drive away from where we lived, away from family, away from my family, and my wife's family was in El Paso, so we're far away from both of our families. And we moved to Iowa, where things were cheaper, where we could afford a first home. And so those are the kind of the sacrifices that you make when you're an artist. You have to decide what's important, and make the sacrifice. Do you make some money with your YouTube videos? Yeah, it's like $150 a month with the YouTube AdSense stuff. And I think, and Proco has also been generous enough to pay me some of the money from the Proco 3D YouTube channel, which also is about, $100 a month, something like that. And they did that because I helped kind of launch the channel. It was kind of a new channel, branching off from their main channel. And so they were generous enough to do that. But I mean, it's not a crazy amount of money. But it is some. Says most of your income streams comes from courses. I think you should do a quick survey from them, where they come from, age, country, what makes them buy, so that we can find more people like them. I'm in marketing. I'm a marketing student. I just want to build a portfolio. Do you think you could help me? Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking to help somebody grow, then I could definitely use the help. Yeah, most of the courses are sold in the U.S. I don't have the behind the scenes data of like age and all that. That's the Proco team has that, and I don't know if I could get access to that. But I've tried to get into some I've looked into ads, but I just haven't figured out a way to make them profitable and worthwhile yet. So, and ads are often, it's easier to advertise through the YouTube videos that are free to make. Well, they're free. They cost time. But a good, well-done YouTube video that answers some questions about the sculpting topic, a good video can advertise for the courses better than paid ads, I think. So that's what I try to focus on. Iowa, wow, that's cheap, but you have to reconsider relocating to much cheaper countries like the Philippines since your income is remote. Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to move out of the U.S. I like being in the United States, and so Iowa made sense. The Philippines, yeah, I wouldn't like being so close to the ocean, and yeah, I prefer kind of the middle of the U.S. Yeah, so I wouldn't be interested in leaving the U.S., but yeah, we did come to a cheaper place in the U.S. But yeah, there are cheaper countries for sure where you could live. If you'd have lived in the 1800s, you'd be a billionaire. Yeah. Yep. Well, not really. that's not that's not really how it works. But yeah. If you want to know how much you make, you just go and see like how much gold you would have been able to buy, like how much gold you can buy right now with your income, and then compare that with how much gold you would have been able to buy with the average income in that industry and a long time ago. So, with my income, I could maybe get, in today's dollars, I could maybe get 1 ounce of gold every other month. That's probably like around what it is. And then if you compare that with in the past, the dollar has lost a lot of its value. So, but if you look at in the past, that's about, what people would make every 2 weeks or something. Because people talk about, it was just a quarter that people would make an hour, like a quarter an hour. But that quarter was made out of silver in the past. And so a silver quarter today is like $25. So it's like, or $20 or something. So it's like being paid $20 an hour in today's dollars. But yeah, I don't think there's a better time to live and be an artist and be somebody that wants to find success in the world, because we have so many resources. We have technology, and we have the internet, and so all of these resources allow us to do things that artists in the past just couldn't do. Like, I don't think, like, in the past I would have had to have, like, been a teacher, an actual teacher at a school or high school or college or something. And I guess I could still do that. Like, that's still an option. But I just liked the free market route of teaching online and to people all over the world. Yeah, the mirror makes it so that I guess I could just put the secondary camera as the camera on my laptop that I'm streaming from. I guess I could do that, but I just prefer worrying about one camera view, one angle. Have you considered being partnered with realtors / apartments / architects? Man, they need these kinds of projects. I want to learn the skill too and monetize it through that. Yeah, that's a great idea. And there's some architects nowadays that are trying to bring back the classical architecture and combining sculpture with architecture, which used to be, that was basically what sculpture was just part of buildings. And so it was part of that ecosystem. And so there are people that want to bring that back and want to start doing sculpture as part of buildings. And so I do think that that's a great thing to be thinking about. And I need to do research on trying to find the architects that are interested in these types of, combining figurative art with, beautiful buildings and facades and, relief sculptures and all of those cool things. Clay or beeswax? This is beeswax, natural beeswax that was given to me by a follower, and it's great. It smells so good. I don't know. I purchased like beeswax pellets, and they don't smell this good, and they don't sculpt this good. So I don't know what it is about this person's. I think they got it from their own bees, from their own what do you call it? Beehives. What is a beekeeper? Apiarist or something. And it smells great, and it sculpts really nice. By hand. It's a little sticky for tools, but by hand it sculpts nice. Right now he's just a flat face shape. Ooh. Like bas relief or Mona Lisa or bas relief of their dead loved ones, even pets. That'd be in demand. Yeah. Just gotta find the people, market to them. What if I help you make those research? I'm a marketing student after all. Yeah. If you and I'd be happy because I do commission sculptures and stuff. So if you reach out on Instagram and if you're able to find customers for like commission sculptures, and we would work out like the prices and everything, I'd be happy to pay a commission to anybody that's able to find those customers, because that's the trickiest thing, is like finding a customer. And so like a 10% commission on bringing people that might be interested in like a figure sculpture, like a large relief or whatever type of sculpture it is. But yeah, if you were able to figure a way to market, I'm always happy to share the commission. And that's a good idea. I like working things out that way, like with commissions, because then the priorities are aligned. Because if you just pay somebody and then they get the money, whether you get a commission or not, then, or I don't like the businesses that just sell to artists but they don't help artists sell. So I'm more interested in businesses that help artists. So galleries, I think galleries are worth it, because galleries do the most difficult thing, which is help artists sell. Now, I'm not currently in any galleries, just because I haven't done the work of approaching them and applying and everything. But yeah, if you're interested, reach out to me on Instagram, and I'd be happy to figure out a way to work together. That'd be fun. Ooh, dropped some. I gotta sleep now. It's 2 a.m. in my country. Yeah, well, that's late. Creepy Clay Cave. I checked your YouTube channel. It's very nice. Well, thank you. Yeah, reach out if you want to work together on something. And and it might be worthwhile. Oh, he's saying that Creepy Clay Cave has nice sculptures. I read that wrong. Got a notification. Someone downloaded the free portrait sculpting PDF. If you guys are interested in sculpting and you haven't gotten those PDFs, there's one for the portrait sculpting course, one for the figure sculpting course. They're free, and it's a great resource for learning to sculpt. They've got links to all of the free lessons as well as the premium stuff. So, and if you like the free stuff, I hope you consider joining the full course and supporting through that. Always appreciate anybody that does that. Man, the face is tricky, working this small and then with trying to build it out by hand. It's tricky to make it look good. If you're interested in keeping up with the drawing videos that I do, the live streams, I've done some of those this month, but I'm going to try to move those over to a new channel. It's going to be called Drawing Drew Keith, which I guess sounds like I'm drawing myself, but it's too late. I've already named the channel because it was a Gmail account that was open, so that's the thought process behind it. So Drawing Drew Keith. And that's where I'll try to move my 2D content, my drawing content. So if you're interested in that, you can subscribe to that channel, and I'll start doing live streams hopefully tomorrow if I can figure it out. Sir, I want to learn sculpting and I don't know anything about sculpting. I'm from India. Yeah, I would recommend getting there's free PDFs if you go to the link in the description. There's an option to pay for them, so if you'd like to support the page and chip in a few dollars, then you can pay for it, but it's free. So you can get that free PDF. There's one on the figure sculpting and one on portrait sculpting, and it has links to all of the free lessons that I teach on sculpting. So that's where I would recommend getting started, is those free PDFs. And yeah, there's a lot to learn, and it's a fun thing to be a part of. Okay, I guess I've been going for about a little over an hour now, so I'm probably gonna end it about there. So here's a look at that relief at this stage. The relief sculpture, not very thick, so it's not coming off the surface that much. But a fun relief sculpture done in natural beeswax. Yeah, maybe I'll continue with this one tomorrow. Usually it takes a couple hours for a decent relief sculpture. If you're interested in sculpting, definitely check out the free PDFs on figure sculpting, the figure sculpting fundamentals assignment checklist, as well as the portrait sculpting assignment checklist. Those PDFs are available, and they have links to all of the free lessons. They also have links to the premium lessons, so if you like the free stuff, then I encourage you to get the full courses and learn sculpting with an online course. There's links to those courses as well if you're interested. And with those free PDFs, with the figure sculpting PDF, there's also a link to get 10 free poses that are turnaround poses, and they're censored, but they're a great resource for just having some interesting poses. I chose them myself, and so poses that I thought were interesting. So you can get those as well if you'd like to have some references for sculpting. Yeah, if you have questions or would like to see anything in future videos, please let me know. And yeah, stay productive, stay creative, and hopefully I'll see you again soon in another video or live stream.